frequency of the times. Sonic chronic.
All right, hey, I'm Shazy, creative alchemist, music producer and artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, I'm ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hey, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, lover, born and raised in LA, here to sprinkle a little magic everywhere I go.
All right, and welcome to the Sonic Chronic, where we discuss soundtracks and music of the most popular film titles of a year, and how they influenced or were influenced by the global and cultural buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers, and what was the frequency of that time?
Let's figure it out together, Shazy.
Let's do it. Let's get our
Episode 2,
sleuth
Sonic
hat on.
Chronic, we here.
We are here. And what year are we taking on this episode?
We are taking on a very special year.
Yes.
2010.
2010.
And a little fun fact, we chose this year at random, and as we were deep diving into the year, it dawned on me, Shay, this is the year we met!
I know, right?
2010 is the year that sparked our friendship.
I don't know. I love that. I love
been a
that.
decade plus 3.
That's so fun for us.
I know. It's just so
I love that for you.
I love that for you.
I love that for you.
Don't ever
No,
say
but
that again.
actually, yeah, randomly just popped in my mind 2010 when I was like searching for stuff, and I was like, oh, I noticed that the titles that we're gonna pick to talk about, some of them where I was like, were really awesome movies that I was like so excited that it was in 2010, and then Mandy.
Yes, Shazy.
That's when you discovered.
I know.
It was after watching a movie, one of the movies we're reviewing, right?
Well, I was actually
Right?
on my way over here, not gonna lie. It was just recently
Oh, you
that
just
I
thought of
discovered
it.
this.
Oh, I thought because you were watching the movie and then you thought of how old were you then and blah blah blah.
Well,
and then,
no, I was in the car and I was driving and I was thinking, all right, we're gonna deep dive. It's episode 2, and I'm like, all right, 2010. Where
you just
was
think
I?
what
I
was going on in your
20.
life.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
the frequency of that time for me in my life. And I'm like, all
Right.
right, what was I doing? And I'm
yeah,
like,
what was it for you?
whoa, that was the time when I was like in college, 20
Yeah.
years old. I couldn't even drink yet, legally.
Dating my ex-drummer.
Dating your ex-drummer.
That's
of
how we
your
met.
Band Love, Darling.
Ah!
And that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. Fortunately, we stayed friends. Yay! I love that. It was like a random way too, because think about that. I mean, that probably was a crazy time for you. Like going to college,
so
not sure what you're
stressed
trying to
going
do.
through
Where do you
college,
go next? Like.
Also singing, tapping into music.
Oh,
I was
you were
doing
singing.
my
You
covers
were
every
starting
Wednesday
that.
on YouTube, and like
Right.
you were performing like crazy. Love
Oh,
Darling
I was like,
performing.
oh no, we had just finished our tour, yeah, and so we were pretty busy, like playing out, yeah, and then
I was a major fangirl.
Oh.
Love Darling's number 1 fan.
we were a fan of you as our fangirl.
I had a shirt. Love Darling's fangirl.
Once you got the shirt, you're in. You know it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So 2010, and that's
Also
like
crazy
That's
year,
like
just-
12 years back, right? So okay. So a lot has changed. I mean, my situation too. Yeah. Like not only with my band, it was like all kinds of stuff was happening. I had just maybe a couple years in had just moved to LA.
Yeah.
I used to live in New York, and so
That's
it was.
right.
I was kind of getting adjusted. I also, my good friends and my partner at the time was on a reality TV show being filmed at our house.
Show, crazy hit
so
show.
that was crazy, and like all that stuff was happening. It was like so fast, and then like culturally things were like that too. Everything was just kind of like all the things, and like nobody was really kind of paying attention to how does that affect other things. It was just almost like everybody was just trying to like do their hustle. Didn't it feel like that? It was.
Do the hustle. And we're back.
I wish I could play little samples on here. I should program that. But anyway, so this is something we didn't do on episode 1 because we were just kind of like so excited to get our first episode recorded.
And thanks for all your feedback.
Yeah,
We're
thank you so
loving it.
much.
Thanks for tuning in and rating us. Keep rating.
Yes, please. But we want to keep giving you info that you find interesting. But yeah, so we forgot the main thing is we touched on it a little bit as we talked about each title, but we wanted to kind of maybe remind you all about what was actually happening, what was on the top of everybody's mind, what was the most newsworthy or memorable moment of that year. How was that reflected in or not the titles that people were watching and resonating with in that year? And that's kind of like the gist of our show, right? So yeah, so just to kind of recap, 2010.
Crazy year. Amazing year.
Yeah,
And
I mean.
music, I just found out.
Music, yeah.
Justin
As you'll
Bieber.
see in the titles that we review.
Yes. But that was the time where Baby dropped. Baby, baby,
With-
baby.
oh, yeah, Justin Bieber.
Oh. Best song ever.
There were so many. I mean, we
Drake released his album, Thank Me Later.
Yeah, we can do probably a whole bonus episode on like, all the
like the
songs
top
and artists.
songs.
Yeah, not attached to movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, like in terms of just random news, what was happening, just so you can kind of get a sense of what people were thinking about or dealing with the planet. You know, like. First, that was like when the financial crisis, the major financial crisis was starting to happen over in Europe and stuff. And then we had to bail out Greece, literally. They went bankrupt. It was bad times. Remember, they were talking about like what was happening with the value of the euro. Okay, so there was that. There was a big thing happening with like foreclosures and all that stuff in the U.S. It was not great. We were still recovering from 2008 on that. There was the Russian spies that the FBI found in the United States.
Not
That was
the
crazy.
Russian spies.
Not the Russian spies.
Yikes.
I mean, Iceland had a volcanic eruption. It was massive. It grounded flights in the region, you know, stuff like that. Okay, Winter Olympics was in Vancouver, so that was a big thing happening. China launches their second moon probe. That was big kind of to do that they were getting stuff into space again. SpaceX actually launched another thing as the Dragon capsule. I don't know how significant that is, but we were doing a lot of space stuff. We were doing a lot of space stuff. We had Russian suicide bombers. There was a lot of stuff with Russia and
Russia's
space
out here.
and Olympics. I was gonna-
Dang.
and volcanoes. And then there was an earthquake, a 7-point something earthquake in Haiti. Remember that? It was
Ooh,
so
I do
devastating.
remember that. That was very
devastating, right? And then Chile
dang.
also had a devastating 8.8 earthquake that year.
Sheesh.
So we had lots of crazy earthquakes and volcanic
That was the year of
eruptions.
the quakes.
The Affordable Care Act in the U.S. passed.
Hey.
Hey, that was good for us. I got on right on top of that. And the notorious, and a movie they made about this, by the way, was the BP Horizon oil spill disaster. Remember that? It was like an oil rig out in the middle of the ocean. It totally exploded and spilled all of this horrible oil into our oceans. Another cleanup that was covered up.
Hey.
It was devastating. It was so bad that they made a movie about it.
We got to review that movie soon.
I don't know when it came out. I forget. We had floods in Pakistan. We had the FIFA World Cup 2010. That was happening.
Okay.
And then a few other things, WikiLeaks stuff. So it's like kind of like beginning of like all that Facebook kind of controversy.
And Simon left Idol that year. Crazy business.
That was the year?
That was the year Simon left Idol. And you know what
Oh.
else? Prince William got engaged to Kate Middleton that year.
See, pop culture news.
Pop
Thank
culture
you. I'm
news,
all like
yeah.
the devastating like
And I'm
news.
like, California girls. Katy Perry launched that year.
That was that year?
That was that year. Everything was popping that year.
See, I love the pop culture that you bring in here.
And Sex and the City reminded us to cherish our friends with their second movie.
Oh, there's a movie.
When they went to Abu Dhabi.
I never
yes.
saw it.
What?
Did you see the movie?
I'm sorry. Yes.
The second one?
Yes.
Oh, was it good?
It was so good, Shay. What?
Wait, it's normally a show, right?
It's normally a show? Shay. Hold on.
I'm going to break you. Your shirts are getting... You're like... Whoa.
Shay, I
Okay,
need you to
tell
watch
me.
Sex and the City, please. It's
Wait,
on
but it's a
HBO
show,
Max.
right? I feel
It is
stupid.
a show.
Okay,
it's
a
an
show.
incredible
But then they did
show.
a movie, which the movie actually, the first movie I heard was very good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was very good. I have to
But
think
was the
about what year
second
that came out.
good? Because you know how
It's
sometimes they
still
dial it
new.
in, they're like, let's make some more money.
No,
They
the
put out
second
another
one
movie.
was really good. And
But what was
they
it-
went to Abu Dhabi. And, like, if you watch the show, like,
If you follow the characters,
if you
then it
follow
makes
the character,
sense.
it makes sense. It's like a
Okay.
huge thing.
Like it needed a sequel kind of vibe?
Yes, it
Okay.
did.
But one more thing to add. You have all these like lovely uplifting music should end that. And then I'm like, and then there was a bunch of 33 miners were rescued after spending 69 days trapped in a Chilean copper mine. The only reason why I'm mentioning that is another movie was made about that.
Oh.
33 miners were stuck for 69 days.
Oh, my gosh.
How the heck in a copper mine?
What?
How did they survive? And that's why they made a movie about it. Apparently, it's kind of like that. I don't know. I
Apparently.
need a different word than apparently.
We'll work on that together.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Oh, that's not bad.
And it's
Acronyms.
supposedly. Da-da-da-da-da. Not supposedly. You know how people say supposedly?
I can't stand. There's so many. I can go down a list. Supposedly, yeah. Okay, now you're bringing that up. I get it.
Yeah.
Then the other one.
Hit me.
The other grammatical thing. Oh, did you know that this is a thing? But most people don't know it. But now that I know it, I can't unknow it. Is that if you are going to say, I wish, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, you think you would say, I wish I was, but you're supposed to say, I wish I were.
Yeah.
You know that?
I know that.
Okay. So you know
I
that.
wish I were in Jamaica.
Okay, you know that.
I wish I was in Jamaica.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Oh, but you're educated. Okay.
College degree, thank you, Susan.
But actually, I can see how people might miss that because, most people do like, I wish I was there. Oh, I wish,
Okay,
and
what
then you
about
would say
this?
were if it's like, I wish you were. But here's the thing. It was supposed to be, I wish I were. Because usually you think you were.
Yeah.
The conjugation. But so why does this matter? That one stuck out at me because Sophie B. Hawkins had that song. Damn, I wish I was your lover. I'm like, that is the wrong.
Yes, I know.
That is the wrong grammar. Damn it.
Damn.
But it's supposed to be, I wish I were your lover. Anyway, there's some other ones, but I can't think, and they're common. So let's get into it. Okay, so that's the highlights of the year. Those were all the memorable moments happening, and those are all the things that were stirring. Now let's think about the movies, the storytellers that actually made it to the screen to have us experience it. And also, 2010, I looked into it, researched it, because like the whole vibe of our show is to talk about how the soundtrack and the music, the score, how that plays a role, whether it's a score or whether it's a collection of artists. And that's changed through the times as how cinema has used that, right? Mm-hmm. How do they pick that? How do they score it? Why do they decide what artist or song to put? It's really to kind of like bring out the emotion of a scene, is to help to kind of set the tone of what we're trying to evoke from that visual or that moment. Like you said in the last episode, Jason from Friday the 13th was walking and you watched this scene where you stripped away the
music,
and
it's not so scary.
It gives you a different vibe. Or put on maybe you put like rom-com-y music on top of it, and then suddenly it literally will change your whole.
What are you doing, Kitty?
It'll be like wa-da-da-da-da, sa-ga-ga-ra-dum girl, and then you're like, oh, okay. But it really does make you feel differently, and that's where there can be a huge miss.
Yes.
And I'll talk about that later as we review one of the titles.
Music can definitely make or break your experience and the takeaway.
But it was also the year that what started becoming well known is like in the past, if you go farther back in the 90s, let's say, you would actually discover new artists that you hadn't heard of yet. Mm-hmm. That's how you discovered them, like Breakfast Club and like Pretty in Pink and all that stuff, right? Then 2010, it was kind of like the new, and we'll talk about the titles who were the leaders in this, but this was the time that known artists, artists that weren't just like, that made their debut and kind of got catapulted because of the movies. And not only that, they were the reason people went to go see that movie, maybe because they saw the trailer, heard the music and the anticipation. And so it was an interesting dance that movie and music now was doing.
Yeah, that was definitely a really good time for that, I remember. Yeah.
It was the beginning of that.
Lately, it's not as...
It's a mix now. I feel like there's a hybrid now. Now it's like a mix of scoring, actual individual songs, recognizable songs in a movie. And it just depends on the movie, what it's trying to do. And I think it now picks artists that kind of embody that emotion when you listen to them.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So what do we do? Now we do have we're still doing picking the titles out of the box so we can be spontaneous, even though we know which movies get to be picked, but it's okay. But in addition, this episode and going forward, you guys can't see, obviously you're listening, but we'll tell you what's in front of us. Our desk, quote unquote, is actually a beautiful keyboard.
Woo! Listen to that.
So this is our little instrument that we might, here and there play some stuff on, who knows, but it's like our new desk, whatever. It's more fun for us. But so we want to get into our titles. And the other thing that we're doing is we're focusing on films fully. Yes. I know last episode we did TV shows and we realized they're both so much juiciness in both of those categories that we wanted to give, each its proper, focus. So what we'll do is a bonus TV show episode where we'll go through and based on your suggestions, we'll pick a year, that we think, or maybe we won't do a year, maybe we'll do a decade.
Oh, that'll be good.
Jam it in, right? But anyway, so we're going to focus on films just because we think there's such a beautiful, obvious connection of music and film, at least. I mean, for more years, let's put it this way. I feel like TV shows have started to catch up, but back in the day, it was more like, come on, knock on my door. I mean, that's music. What am I talking about? It was more theme songy.
Let's do it! Let's pick a movie out of the box right now.
I'm shimmying. Oh, yeah. No. We've got movie. All right. Am I doing it?
You do it, Shay. What's in the box, Shay? What's in the box?
Inception.
Ooh!
Dun.
You know, I had not seen Inception until I had to do my homework. And everyone raves about this movie, and I've been meaning to watch it forever because it's so good, and I hear that it's so good. And it is so good after I watched it.
I was going to say, what did you think?
I
what
loved
did you think?
it. Oh my gosh, I don't know why. You know how, like, you feel like there are movies on your list you have to get to, but you know that it's going to be a thing. That you really have to dedicate time, so you'd rather just not even go there and just watch The Office again 5 million times. But finally, I dedicated the time, and my goodness, those 2 hours and 40 minutes, however long it was.
It was long.
It was worth it. It's a beautiful story.
You know,
it's very sad.
It is sad. It's sad, but okay, that's good. It's interesting that you said that. Before we go into our feelings about it, just want to let everybody know, like, a little bit about just like fun facts around it, right? Okay, so first of all, this quote, I put it in the notes here and I want to say it. Okay, so it's like, a single idea from a human mind can build cities. An idea can transform the world and rewrite all the rules. Okay, so that was a little quote for something he said in the movie. But I thought, honestly, okay, so first of all, this is directed by Christopher Nolan, right, the movie?
Yes.
And Hans Zimmer scored the film. So now you get a sense of what magnanimous, beautiful, orchestral sound this, and it needed it. This movie needed that kind of score,
film
right?
Working together, and they've done 6 films in total, and they truly,
the Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, right?
The Dark Knight trilogy, and they did Interstellar, Dunkirk. Yeah, that's success.
Exactly. And if you guys look it up, or if you watch the movie, you'll notice it'll play throughout here and there. It'll come back as this thematic song, and it's called Time. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's an iconic chord or sound.
Another song that's like, they're kind of like the soundtrack's DNA and the film's DNA is the famous song by Edith Piaf.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
yes. Oh, my God. That was the thing they played in order to kick them out of the dream state when they were trying to come. Oh, my God. Yes. Good call.
And fun fact about that is the director actually had that song in mind before Zimmer came on.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, no, we're keeping it because it's like very much what he wanted to capture.
Nice. Okay, so it was almost like in combination with the Hans Zimmer vibe. And I can see, that's very different.
It's very different.
It's very different, but it totally worked. I'm trying to think of any other noteworthy thing. I think they basically, in terms of awards, they were up for nominated for several awards, actually. Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and a Grammy, and a BAFTA. So it was actually highly recognized. And also, the trailers with Zach Hemsey, I guess, he composed the music, that was not on the soundtrack. That happens a lot. They'll use music on a trailer that's not actually on the soundtrack. It's interesting when they do that, because I don't know what the good use case would be for that. Because if I'm getting sucked in, I hear something, like that's part of the reason why I'm like interested. And then if I go and I see the movie and I don't see, it's like they do this too. They put, trailers out that don't have scenes that are actually made the cut of the movie. And I'm like, why'd you do that? You know what I'm saying? Because like, I actually want more of that. You just like gave me a taste and now it's like, here, listen to this song. Do you like it? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. And you're like, here's the full song. And I'm like, this is totally sounds like a different song. But anyway. But
great movie. It was incredible. And Leonardo was phenomenal, obviously. But there are a lot of great actors
Leonardo
in this.
da Vinci.
Tom Hardy.
Did I say Da Vinci?
Leonardo da Vinci was in this, guys.
It's that song you made me think of. She made a comeback, made a cameo.
Tom
Leonardo
Hardy,
DiCaprio.
Elliot Page.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yes.
I totally forgot that now Elliot Page.
Yes.
Ellen Page was a key player, a key character.
A lead, if you will. Now we're just going to discuss what we thought about the movie.
Right. The first time I saw it, that's right, I saw it when it came out. Mm-hmm. So I was in the theater, and the Hans Zimmer thing, like, I felt like it made sense, because I love sci-fi stuff. I love thought-provoking, it's kind of like Interstellar. It's like stuff that makes you think about dream state stuff has always been really interesting to me. And I was saying, like, DiCaprio and some other we were talking about Elliot Page. when I watched the first time, I think I was so enamored with the newness and coolness of like all the special effects and like the sound. It was like this beautiful orchestral, like just really just kind of created this emotional momentum in these scenes. It really is a human story, and it's, you know, DiCaprio being the main character here. So I kind of just was like trying to follow it. It was keep up. So I couldn't really focus too much on the story and really unravel it to see if like I thought it made sense or if there was any holes. So for me, I had such a like, I like loved it. I just was like, oh my God, it's the greatest. And I saw it in the theater and I was like, you know, and I thought the story was interesting, the concept. What am I getting to is that now that I don't have the newness to be kind of like distracted, I'm kind of like, oh, let me think about the story. Did this really make sense? So for me, I just thought, wow, I was able to kind of think more about what was going on and then see what the director was really trying to kind of say, or the writer was trying to say about like, or what really happened with what was really happening, you know, was trained to kind of dream delve in
like
order to kind of like
convincing people that they're not dreaming and planting an idea in their head.
Or basically,
like
they were,
Inception.
well, their initial idea, because that was like the big kind of
Their
taboo thing to do, but like the thing that they were known for doing was stealing things, stealing ideas, like stealing the code to a combination lock so they can steal real money, or like, but without people knowing it. And they also, it's kind of like hackers, they also teach people, or well-to-do people, or well-known people, how to protect themselves, because they're like, we know how to crack it, so we're the best security, you know? So they were kind of like dream, consciousness, security, and thieves, you know? That's what was really happening. But and they were kind of a rogue group. There's another kind of theory that's happening, and it opposes that with like the totem. Like the idea is like, they had to pick a totem, the way when he was kind of training the new character, kind of an architect. Basically, they needed people who were dream architects, right? And then like they would basically go in and be able to kind of map it out so that when they went in there, they could do the thing they need to do without the person who's dreaming, whose consciousness they're in and architecting, wouldn't know otherwise, right? And so they needed to do a special job, so they brought in her because he didn't want to do it. He had this thing with his ex-wife who supposedly passed, and that's the thing. Like, what happened to her? Like, they used to do this together. She supposedly lost herself when they went too many dreams deep, and so kind of lost her mind and never left, and she wanted him to stay with her.
Yeah, and that's why
That's
I thought
his
it was
theory.
so sad, without giving too much of it away, but like basically how she keeps showing up in Leo's dreams is just like his own projection of guilt
Right.
and what he experienced with her in the relationship. And
Right.
it's very, very sad.
It's very sad. Oh, skip back to the totem before I go down that rabbit hole. But the totem is you had to pick an object that you could, you know, it's kind of like when you lucid dream. There's a way to know if you're dreaming or not. That's how you wake yourself into a dream state consciously, right? And so a totem could be something like, you know, he picked a spinning top, right? So if you're in a dream, the top never falls. You spin it and just keep spinning. And that kind of shows you, oh, you're in a dream still. Because realities and dreams were starting to merge. They were trying to, sometimes you do it too much, you can't tell the difference. And that's what happened to his wife, supposedly. But then, you know, if the top falls, then it's you're in reality. So going back to that thing is like, I'm thinking what they were posing is that he wasn't actually, he was doing all this stuff in a dream state. He was always in a dream state. He never was in reality.
Whoa, I thought that
Yeah.
he was still dreaming in the end.
Right, no, he was, but that was the question. Like, he thought he was in reality, but I was saying, like, remember how they were all like, good job, you know, whatever, and that's, you know, like, they all were looking at him. Remember they said, remember when the players look at you, that means they know that the consciousness is becoming aware, whatever. There was all this symbolism where it was basically saying, like, maybe that was the thing. She, the architect, the new architect, she actually was a therapist, probably came in to help him go to the light.
That's a theory I haven't heard before.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Now that you're thinking about it. See, I think,
Oh.
and now that I saw it a second time, I think that theory holds better.
Well, she was kind of like the main reason he was able to go back and kind of deal with his pain and trauma of his wife, because
Yes.
she kind of navigated that for
Yeah,
him.
but notice how weird that was. Like, a regular architect wouldn't care about all that.
Right.
She got really into his personal
Ooh,
stuff.
That's a good theory.
Yes, don't you think? And she was always there. Remember, she'd inject herself into a lot of situations where it was like normally like, what, really?
Yeah.
But he had to believe she was like working with him. They all had to like make it. I think the theory is like he thought he had a team of people because they were acting. They had to make him believe.
That is
What do
very
you
good
think?
theory.
You
I
like
like
that?
that. But Hans Zimmer
Okay.
and Christopher Nolan
Yeah.
really are a great team in explaining the protagonist and explaining the story and just
with
really...
with the emotion of the music, you mean?
Yes, with the music. Just creates like this great atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, like, remember when she first stepped in and she was practicing about like learning how to kind of be in the dream state but not like freak out? And then when she started moving, messing with the physics of the dream state, and so that's that famous scene where like the street is curling and the buildings are curling on top of each other,
like
and the sound during that. I was really paying attention. Think about it now more. You're kind of like being present about what music is playing, because like sometimes like I was thinking about that when a famous song popped on it and just made me feel like more like in this like uppity spirit, and I was like dancing, and I was like, wow, it's so crazy how much it conducts our emotions during a movie.
I thought the music in this was great. It was very melancholy and heroic.
That's a great word for it.
Thank you. $10 word.
$10 word, yes.
It was wonderful. All around. What do we think of this film?
Yes, so we got to vote. Okay, so we are going to do... Oh, yeah, we're supposed to think of a cool thing per movie. Oh, I didn't do it. Okay, so Inception.
Did it blow your mind, or did it...
put you to sleep?
Oh,
girl!
That was good. Okay, here we go.
So, did it blow your mind or did it put you to sleep? Our vote is...
blow your mind!
Blows my mind!
It blews my mind.
It blows my mind. No,
we loved it.
Definitely blows my mind.
Yes. I think you can catch it on HBO Max. I paid $3 on Amazon.
I did too.
I was like, yo.
$3.99.
Yeah.
Wait, Amazon Prime, right?
But it's worth every penny.
I was like, if they were going to charge me a regular $14.99, they've been doing that lately. I'm like,
what?
I already pay. We have to pay again. That's some scam. That's
a
whole
$14.99, I better own
conversation,
the movie.
Right?
Not to rent.
No, you are pissed. You are pissed.
Oh, that's probably for like the latest releases. I ain't paying $14.99
The newest one,
to rent
early
no
access,
movie
that is $25.99. Do you see those?
No.
The ones that are like, those are the ones that are actually out in the theater too. So they're like, oh, you want to watch it home? You're gonna have to pay high premium price.
That I get.
Yeah,
but not for no 2010 movie. I ain't paying $14.99 for that.
No, not 2010.
No, we're gonna go to the Red Box and get a young dollar special.
That's so fun. Oh, dollar back even farther. Blockbuster. What?
Dang.
There's a Blockbuster. The last Blockbuster standing is it Pennsylvania? No.
Oregon. Portland.
Oregon? And it's an Airbnb as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you heard about
they
that.
They just had a Blockbuster pop-up bar in Hollywood. Did you see that?
No, I missed it.
It might still be there.
Oh, it's still popped?
It's still popped up.
It's still popped? Okay. All right, let's do it. All right, so you get the pick.
My turno.
Shake it, shake it.
What is it gonna be?
What's it gonna be?
What's it gonna be? The Social Network.
Oh, okay. Social. Oh my God, I'm already on it with my notes. Hey. Okay, as you know, or maybe you don't know, The Social Network was that movie that came out for the first time telling the story about how Mark Zuckerberg came up with Facebook supposedly, and really kind of like talking about the controversy around that, because I don't think a lot of people knew it. Like, it was just like Facebook was just thriving.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all the chips kind of fell down around Mark after this movie, because he was in a very big lawsuit with his best friend, his best friend, and people from, basically the idea supposedly started, and he started the app in Harvard where he went, but he had stolen the idea. Didn't steal the code, but stole the idea, and kind of was a little shady McGrady. And basically he's a billionaire, and like, so I don't want to give it away again, like I say, but like, it was pretty crappy to see how he treated his best friend. But it also kind of gave an insight of him as just a human being, like trying to be, he just was
more money, more problems.
Some of his moves were like, treated his ex-girlfriend really crappy, because he was just kind of like, he came back around after they broke up and was like, had done some crappy things to her and blogged about her, said some horrible things about her because he was upset and a little baby. And then he comes up to her and was like, hey, do you see I'm the one who, see the app I built? And she's all like, so? She was like, I don't care about your app. But he thought that was going to be like, he didn't have to apologize or anything. Actually, really interesting story about how he is a genius coder, by the way. But lots of human personality flaws.
Yeah, you can read the book
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's called The
Oh, it's a
Accidental
book.
Billionaire. This film was based off of that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, fun little fackety fact. And
Oh, okay.
Justin Timberlake's breakout role.
Oh
as
my
an
God, he
actor.
played Sean Parker,
Yes.
who's Napster dude. Justin Timberlake,
Timberlake.
he was in it, but he actually didn't contribute to the soundtrack. But let me just say, guess who scored it? And I think is the reason why it got so much traction of people watching it, but also rewatching it or share about it, is that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross scored this. And when I was watching it again, remembering that, I was like, oh my God, these different scenes. And I could totally tell it was Trent Reznor. I was like, because I'm a super fan. I was
What's
like,
some stuff that he
like, for
done?
example, the party scene, remember when they started getting success and they moved into that like headquarters and it was just like this kind of montagey moment of him suddenly getting the girls. And like he was like finally in this life that he was like craving so badly. Like he was finally in this party scene, an awesome like Trent Reznor track. And it was also juxtaposed against he just totally dissed his best friend. Like they had a conversation outside and he dissed him hardcore and just walked back into the party. But it was like this really amazing, kind of dark, but like danceable music that was so perfect for that moment. So anyway, but I was just thinking the tension it created with between the scenes where he was starting to come up and it was innocent stuff and it was exciting too because they were like getting the best of the best in the coders and Facebook was starting to take shape. He did really come up with the idea that was a game changer, which was relationship status.
Oh,
Adding that was the game
yeah.
changer from MySpace and it's like what's the difference?
real
It's
unless
another
it's on
social
Facebook.
network. Right. Because that's what I think psychologically, Friendster and MySpace was like strangers. You were meeting strangers. But the
Yeah.
difference in what he realized that he kind of stole this idea is that they were going to create, the people he stole from was a Harvard connection. And basically you would have everybody who was in school up online, but it means it's people you know. You're familiar with, right?
Yeah.
So that had never been done before. And so he thought, oh, let's make a network of friends. Friendster was supposed to be that, but it was really truly because they were already truly knowing each other at schools and universities why this idea really launched, I think. And then he added that relationship status, which is what now everybody just wants to know. Why do people at colleges go out to parties and they want to know, like, they want to like meet people and get into
Yeah.
relationships, right?
Do you remember when you made your first Facebook account?
I
remember
think
we were
I
in
kind
high
of
school. I was in
do.
wait, yeah, high school.
Wait, no, was it 2008? I thought it was earlier.
No, because I remember I had a MySpace, and then
Yeah, MySpace.
Facebook was like the new cool thing.
I remember when that happened because I was doing UX design. I was actually at ESPN. Isn't that crazy?
Ooh.
I was in New York. And I remember thinking MySpace was starting to get too crazy because at first it was awesome.
I love
And I also had a band and I
MySpace.
was using it for bands use it a lot, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like this whole thing where you can customize it and then all these ads and the moment they started doing that, they kind of sold out to that. Tom, what happened to Tom? There should be a book about Tom.
Where's Tom?
Where's Tom? Who's Tom? Is Tom real?
Tom.
All right. So he was my first friend. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I started feeling I didn't want to use it because it was getting too convoluted. And the next thing you know, here comes simple, like, Facebook with his simple profile. And then just like, hey,
no
relationships
music,
like-
no top 8.
Nothing. It was like almost like, when it's like the pendulum swinging. Simplicity just feels so refreshing.
Yeah.
And then you finally kind of swing back to the middle. But that's why I think it was a perfect storm that MySpace overstepped and went crazy with their little stupid ads. And then Facebook had this really simple idea and like was appealing to like people. It's almost like an indirect dating site, if you will, that psychology. And there was the launch of Facebook.
And that was it.
That was it. And ironically, a few years later, after it seemed like MySpace was just like the Titanic about to just be under the water, remember how Justin Timberlake was part of an investor group that was going to buy MySpace, and they did, to try and reinvigorate it? In fact, MySpace had a record label.
They did.
Yes, remember?
Oh my goodness, you're taking me back.
I'm taking you back because I remember thinking like, wow, that's interesting. And I was like, are they going to reinvigorate? It didn't happen.
didn't
They
happen.
tried. But like, no.
Now
that's
Facebook's for like your aunties and my mama and
It really
my
is only good
grandmama
for like groups and events, I think.
and family.
And family. I don't go there for the news. I don't go for, stay in touch with friends. I like stay in touch with family, really. And then groups, still good for groups. Facebook groups is actually really, the use case is there. That's why it's still, and then I saw some commercials like where they were pushing groups and I was like, see, they know. But now here it's meta. Well, anyway, but the movie itself, really interesting, but I feel like, that's the scoring. I don't know if they got awards for it.
They did get an award. They got an Academy Award for Best Writing and Adapted Screenplay.
Oh, okay. And then they also got an Academy Award for Best Original Score.
Yes.
At the 83rd Academy Awards. And the Ball and Biscuit by the White Stripes California Uber Alles, I don't know how to say that, by the Dead Kennedys, and To Go Sigh by Nine Inch Nails. Oh, Baby You're a Rich Man by the Beatles, Like a Bad Girl Should by the Cramps, and The Sound of Violence by Dennis DeLotte. But those were also some songs that actually didn't make the soundtrack, but they were on the film of,
Crazy that Justin didn't have anything to do with
yeah,
the soundtrack.
I was surprised that he
That's wild.
didn't contribute, but maybe he just wanted to keep it separate. But yeah, they were
did a
really
great
trying to
job.
like create this like vibe where they wanted something different than like, could have gone so cheesy. Really, if you think about it, because like the story itself is kind of like a little annoying. Kind of like a nerd that, like, you know, found the wave and, like, got really... Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, but seriously. But no, he was basically just hit a sweet spot and it just catapulted him so quickly. It was almost like... But, like, that's a common story.
Billionaire. That's what the book is
And
called,
that's the thing,
so.
but it also it shows having money doesn't mean you're a good character, you know, and it shows like how much, in America at least, how much importance and value we put on thinking like if you have so much money, you must be something special. But it doesn't mean you can't still be a questionable human being at times.
Yes.
I thought the movie was pretty good, so shall we
Great
vote?
movie, yes.
So we vote. So do we think this is a...
Let's think about this. Social Network.
Is it hot or not? You know the reference? His first app was actually more like, it was called Face Smash, but it was inspired by Hot or Not, and he did it with colleagues, and it was actually, he did it not kind of illegally, but anyway, Hot or Not.
Hot or not?
Hot or not, we say
Hot.
sizzling.
Oh.
Okay, no, yeah, I thought it was hot. It still held up even after watching it again.
Do it.
But
Everybody
it's
go
also
watch
interesting because it's based on facts. So
Well,
it's always,
yeah, we lived it. It'll be good
Yeah.
nostalgia for everybody.
I always like to watch movies that are actual like history and education because you're always like, oh, I didn't know that. Like I like learn through the movie sometimes. Okay, so it's my turn to pick.
Pick out of the box, says.
We do have a new segment we're adding called Second Chance to Dance, and that is because there might be some titles of a year that had amazing soundtracks, had maybe some notable artists or notable music score, but actually weren't in the top 10, 15 popular movies, right? So we have a couple that we might get to. Hopefully we will.
Hopefully.
But just wanted to say, look forward to that segment, because then you might discover, oh, I didn't know that's, you know, how I found out about them or how I came to know them. Black Swan. This was one of my favorite movies when I first saw it.
What does a swan sound like?
Not
Because I want to go cuckoo. But that
I don't
doesn't
know. I
feel
think
right.
swans go like they do something like a in their throat,
Ooh.
like a cooing almost.
That's like, sounds like a chicken or like a, what goes cluck cluck? Chicken?
Chickens go cluck cluck.
Cluck, 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 cluck.
Almost. Yeah, it's almost
Sounds
kind of
like
like
a chicken
it's almost like
on
a cooing
steroids.
in their neck. We might be totally wrong. We're just I think I'm making this up, but
Okay.
who knows? Okay.
might
Well,
be.
Black Swan. Okay, first of all, let's get to
Natalie
our notes. Oh, I gotta get to my
Portman.
notes. She rocked it.
That's
and
so great. Mila Kunis is
I've
in
always-
this.
oh, Mila
Winona
Kunis?
Ryder.
Wait, Winona Ryder was where?
She's in this.
What play?
She used to be the Black Swan until they recast, remember? And they're like,
Wait, that was Winona Ryder?
yes,
Why am
she
I
played
having?
Beth.
That's right. She's the older one that she's kind of replacing.
And she goes to Natalie like, what did you do to get this role? Thinking that she slept her way to the top, but she didn't. She's
She
just great at
did.
what
She was a
does.
goody two shoes. She was all about innocence, and that was like the symbolism in the movie too.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is a
so
great
Black
film.
Swan, first of all, this was one of my favorites, and I loved looking up the information about the soundtrack and the music because I'm sure you've seen trailers or previews, but this was more like ballet and kind of orchestral, so that was like definitely the soundtrack vibe as well.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting facts about that is that the film was based on Tchaikovsky's ballet Swan Lake. There was a lot of,
Very
what do you call it,
contemporary
parallels,
classic
yeah.
music in
But
this.
with radical changes to the music. But because of the use of Tchaikovsky's music, the score was deemed ineligible to be entered into the 2010 Academy Awards for Best Original Score. So they couldn't be up for awards because of the closeness to
Interesting.
that. Yeah, I didn't. That's kind of weird, though, right?
That's weird.
And the Chemical Brothers, they were actually had a few pieces on it as well, but they weren't featured on the official soundtrack. But they were. Remember the scene in the dance club?
oh, yeah.
And then before the hot scene. Before the hot scene.
She really loves the hot scene with Mila Kunis.
I
and
do.
Natalie
Oh my God. Are you
Portman.
kidding me? That was like iconic. That was like one of the best scenes. It will still remain as one of the.
Mila Kunis has always been A heartthrob. Is
She's
that
been
the
a
word?
heartthrob. I don't know, for women.
Women?
Why not?
A hottie with a body.
Hottie, oh, the hot body,
But
heartthrob.
this movie, everyone was like, whoa.
Plus, she can dance. Like,
No.
she was like...
Both Natalie and
Yeah.
Mila really
Yeah.
performed this.
They really... Yeah, both of them.
There was like a scandal with Natalie's double who would like fill in for her because
Why?
they were
What
trying
was
to
the
say
scandal?
that Natalie wasn't really dancing all the whole time. But,
Okay.
But no, it was like she really danced her butt off in this film, and
Yeah.
but obviously they both are incredible. But no, her and Mila were
Poo-poo on those
really giving it.
And that's the thing. Natalie Portman, I've heard, if she has a choice, I think she picks some really good movies. I mean, I first saw her in what is it called? No, oh my God, what's that movie? She was super young.
Oh, I know exactly.
almost
I
like
know her by her
not femme
cut,
fatale.
her shortcut.
Yes, The Professional.
Yes.
The Professional, which was like kind of a like crazy movie to watch because there's so many emotions around that one. But she was a very excellent young actor at that point, and I think that was one of her bigger moments when she started coming to the scene. I just feel like she, even at that age, she just really she's a really good actor, you
She's
know?
incredible.
She really embodies the character. And so
And this film specifically, she like just blew everyone's mind.
But it doesn't make sense, right? Because the way I think what was going on, the symbolism of this is that she was a perfectionist, really pushing herself. Her mentor is pushing herself. She has this new, like, you know, pressure of like, you know, filling the shoes of
Beth, the
what's her
lady
name?
who
Yeah.
was, like, the main Black Swan.
But she basically had not like kind of like an untouched like lamb in the world.
Yeah.
She hadn't experienced the dark side of the moon yet, you know, and like to know how to really, because she ended up getting cast for the Black Swan, remember?
Yes.
Instead of the Dark Swan, I guess, instead of the lead swan, right? She's never like gone out and drank and had sex and all the things. And I think she suddenly was, I need to grow up really fast.
Yes, so
that
she's
I
such
can-
a perfectionist and
Yeah.
always in control of her life, and every little movement she's done since she was a little girl, and like
calculated.
she really had to learn how to let go, because that truly in life, when we let go,
Yeah.
we can really come into who we're meant to be. But
Yeah.
it's scary to let go of that control. And in
Yes.
this movie, we see her do that.
Yes.
And it was great.
And it's interesting, there was layers of control, like you just said, like from her dance teacher, from her mother. Remember, her mother wouldn't, it was almost this weird relationship where it was her mother would take care of her, but it was like
Keeping
only
her
inside
very
her
young,
bubble.
like a little girl.
Yes. And there was a lot of little girl moments. I think the director did that on purpose. And she did such a good job when she was kind of before she was transforming into this Black Swan, which is what I think as the symbolism, like when she looked in the mirror, she would see feather kind of started coming out her skin. It was like she was finally looking underneath to reveal the real her. And at the very end, when she was like the Black Swan, but of course she was dancing, everybody else saw a normal ballerina, but she was like feeling herself. She was like, yes, Black Swan girl.
Yes, girl.
But it was fully coming, everything was happening so fast. I feel like it was too much too soon. I mean, she ended up gouging herself thinking she was, but I think she needed to kill that her to be who she was.
Dang.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the symbolism. She had to do that to kill off the facade,
Yeah.
to let the real Black Swan through. It was really, I mean, it is a spoiler. We're allowed to because these are older movies and most people. But
people have
at
seen
the
them,
end,
yeah.
though, remember she does this. She was dancing like just fully in the moment. That last
Fully
scene.
engaged and,
And
feeling
the
music.
feathers come off of her arms, and she's just suddenly this beautiful. And then she ends, and she falls back into the scene. How she's all back. Everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And she's sitting there, and she's like bleeding, like her whole like torso is like she's dying. But they fade out to this white scene. But she says to the dance teacher who leans over, she's like, "It was perfect." And the thing is, for her, that was worth it. She
Yeah.
became who she truly was meant to be. And it was like bittersweet and wow, but she had the best moment of her life. I mean, the
I
thing
guess
about,
if you're gonna go,
if you're gonna go, but I guess her whole life was about that. It was so consuming.
Yeah.
How could she be anything but that? Actually, it had to happen that way. She couldn't see herself. She had been so kind of like in that bubble and so molded that she couldn't even see herself doing anything other than that, and it had to be
Right.
to the hilt. You know what I mean?
definitely, and I feel we all struggle with that
Yeah.
and coming into ourselves. And she
She,
really
like,
worked
pushed.
hard. She pushed herself for sure.
Yeah. No, I like how you said that about this. It's kind of a shadow self moment, like that they kind of conveyed in this story of Black Swan. I think that's why I resonated. I loved it. Nothing had been like that before. And a female lead protagonist again. Wasn't it really nice to have like that intensity, but also like it's worth all that just to kind of find yourself. You know what I mean?
It's a beautiful movie. This got an 8 out of 10 IMDb, 85% Rotten Tomatoes, which hardly ever gets
Right?
that high
Oh,
of a
yeah.
score.
It was like
People
buzzing that
loved
year.
this.
I saw it in the
Everyone-
theater.
yeah.
Did you see it the year?
I saw it that year. I saw
Oh,
it
you
in the theater,
did?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. You saw it in the theater? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember her speech. It was just
Oh, when she got the award?
for the Academy Award.
She was so good. I seriously was
She
so
was
moved.
pregnant, I believe, when she
Wait, when she
received-
filmed that?
No,
Oh,
when
no.
she
Oh,
got
I was
the
like,
award,
wait,
yeah.
what? Oh, my God.
What?
Wait, how many children does she have? I didn't know she had
I
a
don't
baby.
know.
She
I
had a
don't know how
baby?
many, but when she got the award, I believe she was pregos.
Oh, goodness gracious. That
But-
just shows you how
Yes,
women, goddesses.
we are, aren't we?
Goddesses. All right. So,
Okay.
what do we think?
Black Swan.
Was it a shining light or a dark night?
Oh,
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, Shazy. A shining light or a dark night?
And we say, shining light. That was, it's still one of my favorite. It's still in my top. That with the color purple.
Yes.
And, what's the other one?
Mystique.
Matrix.
Ooh.
That's another one of my tops. The
Mine's
first Matrix.
Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption. Yes, I'm a
Tulang
Stephen
Fu.
King fan.
Thank you for everything, Julie Newmar. Yes. we have to.
Oh, I can't wait to review that. I can't wait. Okay, so is it my turn or your turn?
My
your
turn.
Shake it, shake it, shake it. Let's get it.
Shake it. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Oh, you're gonna love this.
Okay.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That was the other one when I saw we were doing 2010. I was pumped to see that Scott Pilgrim versus the World was in the top. Honestly, at the time, I didn't think it was like charting.
Well, I had never seen it.
Right.
Because of this podcast, it made me see it. But it's
Right.
like become the romance movie I didn't know I needed.
Right?
It's so good.
And that's the thing. Like when I saw it, I was like, I'm so surprised that they didn't put more budget in promoting this because it was like such a good movie. And anyway, that was during the year. So I was surprised to see it had charted. Yeah.
I didn't know that this was based off of comic books. There's 6 graphic comic books on
Yes,
this.
thank you. And it kind of influenced how it was shot. How awesome was that?
Oh, totally. And it was kind of shot like it's like a video game too.
Yes, it had like overlays like that were just kind of.
It kind of
these
reminded
moments.
me as well from 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once, how it just would kind of flip to different.
It was like hopping timelines, and it was
timelines
almost
and-
like hopping like realities and consciousness, and like yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
loved how they were telling the story, and it also reminded me the way they shot it, like Sin City. Remember that vibe?
Oh yeah.
Because it was a kind of a comic. It was Sin City was a little bit more intense, and I loved how they shot that. It wasn't as intense as that, but it had those moments with like the video game, how they interacted, and then like.
It had
comic book.
visual comedy too,
Yes.
and quick camera action, but also like writing on screen.
Yes,
Like
like
a video
Batman,
game, like,
Kapow!
pow!
Yeah. No, and it was a comedic genius for me. I
Yeah.
loved it. Now, here's the thing about this one, which is really cool about why we get to talk about it, is because this movie, the whole storyline was strung together with music.
Yeah.
In fact, Beck had written or scored most of the music in this movie, which was really cool because it was like, again, now well-known artists are scoring and performing stuff in movies, and like it really gave a distinct, because like what's happening is like it's almost like, this is my theory about musicals, like for example, I just saw Alanis Morissette. They have the musical around all of her songs,
Yeah.
like famous songs. It was fantastic.
Very
They
cool.
created a story. She wasn't in it. It was just like her music was the soundtrack. But think about that, when you go to musicals, if you're going in with songs that you already love, let's say like it's all like Alanis Morissette songs or all Bjork songs or whatever, you're going to probably love it even more.
Yeah.
Like the whole show.
Yeah.
Because you already know the songs. You already love the songs. Versus
Yes.
like, oh, that's kind of a fun, cheesy song. Like, you're like, we're going to the lockers and she's gonna be my friend. Like, that's usually a musical, right? But it was like, I kind of felt like that about Mean Girls. But like, it was cute. But it was a little like moments like that where I was like,
Yeah.
okay. But anyway, so this one, it was the beginning again, more and more of these artists. So who else was in it? So many people. Okay, so
Brie Larson actually sang. The actress.
Brie
in this,
Larson.
She played.
She sang that metric song.
Yes, and
she
you know
was the ex, like the hot ex.
the hot ex.
Yes.
Her version wasn't in the first because they released 2 soundtracks. Did you know that?
Yes.
And she didn't make the first cut, but fans were like fans of this
hardcore,
movie.
yeah.
They were like, "Oh my gosh, we want that in there." And so the second release, she was in there. And it
On
was
the
really cool.
soundtrack.
On the soundtrack, her version, yeah.
She was sexy awesome in the movie.
Yeah, she sang Black Sheep, if I recall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the soundtrack includes Beck, Broken Social Scene, Metric, Black Lips, T-Rex, and the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones.
Frank Black and Plumtree. So those are the main ones known. And like you said, Brie Larson actually performed that song. And then basically it was a battle of the band's plot, but it was around like the main character who was
Michael Cera.
And that was actually, in a weird way, it was the first time I really, really saw him as an actor.
Dude, he's so good.
But he's so good at it. And I actually kind of found him endearing in this. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what it was.
Sweet, but
super sweet and
great
kind of
fun fact
cool
about
and chill.
that band, Sex Bomb.
He also
is what they're
played the
called.
bass, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was like gonna
Oh.
say when I was doing research. Is like Michael Cera is actually an incredible musician, and
Yeah.
he's released his own album where he like mastered, recorded.
Wait,
and,
I didn't
like,
know that.
Yes, he played bass and sang.
Wait, he sings too?
Yes,
I know he did backup singing because in the main band, their band name was Sex Bomb.
Sex Bomb.
And they had like, they were kind of local rock stars.
Yeah,
and
he sang backup during the songs in the film, but he also
Yeah,
had to
he
like
sang backup, and he actually played the bass on the song.
He had to dumb down his bass playing talent because he needed to seem more
Really?
like garage band.
Yeah, more garage
He's actually
bandy,
incredible.
which he was. And then remember he did that battle against that other dude who was like, it was like Flea. But it was so crunchy. I love that genre though, like of music.
Yeah.
So I was really loving it, but like it just worked out. They didn't cast people like it wasn't like, oh, let me cast them because they can sing and they can play music.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, because you'd think they would because it was so hinged on all that, but they actually cast people because they wanted the characters to kind of really sync up with like the story, and it just worked out that they were like Brie and like Michael, they were actually musicians.
Yeah, Mark Webber, Allison Phil, and Johnny Simmons that were also in the band. They spent several weeks learning how to play together as a band.
Yeah, they were called The Clash. Yeah, their band name.
Yeah, but I thought it was really cool to learn that Michael Cera actually has an album called True That he recorded and
That
mixed
is so
himself.
cool.
He plays acoustic and electric guitars, piano, vocals,
Yeah.
keyboard, drums. Anyway,
Yeah.
you can find it on Spotify. Listen
That's
to it. It's groovy.
awesome.
It's like
I
a
love
lo-fi,
that.
instrumental, indie, folk. Totally his vibe.
See, I always feel like there's such a connection. There's so many like actors that are great musicians and singers, and there's vice versa, like musicians that are great actors. It happens all the time. People used to say it was like, oh, this is like, that's an anomaly. But I'm like, I think it happens more than you think. And hello, at the very end, remember? I think the story really was sweet. It was like strung together. It was about this band, this guy, he's in this band, and they're doing this battle of the bands, and he's like always needs to be in relationships, and like is always kind of like was learning coming of age in a weird like digital way. And then like at the very end, he realized if the girl that he was trying to kind of win back, it was like, you've earned the power of love, and he pulls the sword out. But then the next part was he realized, oh, stop being about the girl. Then he was like, you've earned the power of self-esteem. And then and that was the real win. And so at the end, he was more chill because he was puppy dog, doe-eyed over this girl. And
Ramona Flowers.
But
But Aubrey Plaza's in this.
oh my God, that's the thing I wanted to say to you. I didn't remember that because I wasn't infatuated with her at that time. And then now I'm infatuated with her. And I'm like, she, of course, played the most perfect role.
Yeah, for sure.
She was
for
the
her.
kind of cashier fangirl of Brie. Mm-hmm. She was a fangirl of Brie, but she was like so rude to all the other people. And then with Brie, she was like totally like fangirly. It was great. Oh my God. Remember?
And Kieran Culkin too. Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my God. He was like the
so
gay friend.
funny.
Oh my God. He was perfect. Oh my God. That
I
was so
loved
great.
every time like something would happen to Scott, like he would already be calling his
Right.
sister to tell him. He's like, "How do you
He's
do
like, "How
that,
do you do
bro?"
that?" He's like, you're sleeping. What's happening? So, yes, this is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. If you
Yeah.
haven't heard of it, now you have. So it's up to
Yes.
you. What do you think? Is this something you might be into? What do we feel about it? Was it a high score
Oh,
or a flat note?
hey, bring it!
I can buy both.
I think based off of our review, we're gonna say it's a
Hi.
high.
Ding, 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 ding.
If you're looking
That
for
is-
a fun,
is a tilt.
entertaining, visually immaculate film that gets better every time you watch it, then we recommend you go watch this film.
Yes,
Sex
I
bomb.
agree. Can't agree more. Yeah, get your sex bomb on.
Get the sex
Do
bomb
it.
on.
Do it. All right.
Love it.
So let's get to our next one. Is it my turn or yours?
Yeah. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's Despicable Me! 'Cause I'm happy.
You know what? here's the thing. I was all like, Despicable Me, this was in the top for 2010. And you know what? Despicable Me 2 is actually the one that Happy.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in 2013. But here's the thing. Pharrell did, for the first time, because this was the beginning of the franchise, he did score most of the songs.
He had 6 songs in this.
Yes.
5 songs in this that
so
he
you can hear
produced,
him. Yeah, you can tell.
Scored. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so great. This movie.
It made sense because, it had this like little funky, spunky, kadunky vibe to it,
It sure
and I
did.
feel like Pharrell has that vibe. He was kind of like, they even had that famous song that the Minions were dancing to. It's like a Sly and the Family Stone kind of vibe. It was like,
they had a lot of timeless music.
where was
in
it?
this. You should be dancing.
That one,
yeah.
Who is that?
And they even had
the Bee
Boogie
Gees.
Fever.
It was Bee Gees, wasn't it? Bee Gees?
Yeah, but it was Bee Gees,
Sorry, I'm,
and
like,
they also
running
had
all this paper.
Copacabana in this.
Yes.
They just had really fun, timeless music. So basically, Despicable Me is about kind of a villain, Gru, played by Steve Carell. He wants to hijack the moon.
Steve Carell, and there was a lot of people in this.
Oh, yeah.
There was this is for the soundtrack, but there was
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig, Russell Brand. He was actually the old scientist dude. Did you know that?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, he did play
and
the
then
old
guess
scientist
who
dude.
the Vector is?
Yeah.
Guess who that guy was?
Who?
Guess who that guy was?
Jason Segel?
Jason Segel.
Oh my gosh!
That
now
is
it
who
makes
he
sense. Yes,
is.
okay, yes, I see that now.
Yeah.
Dude, this movie was so great.
It was
and
cute. It was super
It was
cute.
Illumination Entertainment's first project, kind of like, Pixar has.
Yes, that's right.
This movie really changed the game.
I mean, Minions are massive
The
brand
dang-
for them. Yeah, that was the beginning.
Yeah, these directors, Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud, they legit changed pop culture with these Minions because they created a Minion language. First of all,
Yes.
it's called Minionese, and
it's kind of Lord of the Rings, where the elves had their own language, actual language.
oh snap, that's so cool.
Yeah, they had a linguist create it.
Oh snap.
So wait, Minionese?
Yes, Minionese.
I thought it was literally just gibberish.
No,
But it's
so
real?
it's
They're like,
has a French influence on it. Ah boy,
Hi.
Anyway, and they they actually voiced a lot of the Minions too, the directors. So
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Pharrell Williams and Heitor Pereira composed, but produced by Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Zimmer.
Another
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer.
they recorded with a 67-piece ensemble of the Hollywood Studio Symphony.
oh snap.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And it was a Best Original Song shortlist for the 83rd Academy Awards.
You're right.
Despicable Me.
It's nominated for Best
Despicable
World
Me,
Music, too.
and
Best World Music Award.
Oh.
This soundtrack has hip hop, pop,
Yes.
disco, funk,
Funk,
soul, rhythm
soul.
and blues, pop rock, dance pop, teen pop. Ooh,
yes.
baby pop, soda pop, every kind of pop, baby.
They got all the pops.
All the
But you
pops.
know what? It felt fun. I
so
really,
great.
honestly, it was a touching story. It was the first time there was an anti-hero that came out of Disney Pixar vibe. Wait, who was the studio again?
Gru.
No, the studio.
Oh, the
not
studio
Pixar.
is Illumination Entertainment.
Illumination.
Yeah.
And it was the first time it was this anti-hero kind of trend, putting out these animated movies that really kind of hit the note. And which makes sense because it's people are complex and it's not just this good person, bad person, villain, hero thing. And I love that they started exploring the dynamic of complexities of these characters. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And actually, it was every time a song came on that they would use a song because there was orchestral moments. Remember when there was the tension of him saving her
that's
from
the
the
Hans
plane,
Zimmer
the
doing
wing
his
of the
magic,
plane.
yeah.
And it was whoa, and it was it felt and then as soon as they got onto the stage and that moment of after the recital and it was that song and it was gosh, it just suddenly now I'm dancing and I'm having fun, I'm smiling. It's so crazy how it can do that.
Yes, this movie definitely ties into our Sonic Chronic podcast of how music truly captivates you and how it changes your perspective on this film and
your
just makes
mood.
your mood in every which way possible. And it's
It made me
great-
like the movie
Yeah.
more. And maybe because I'm a Pharrell fan, I really liked it because there's I love Pixar stuff. I love those kind of animated movies and I love to see them for that reason. But sometimes it's the story is a little, it's for the kids, It's nice. I can actually connect with it through the music sometimes, when it doesn't feel like it's being too kiddie. You know
No,
what I mean?
because it's using not kiddie music, but grown-up music, like
Yeah,
the Bee
that's
Gees,
what I
like we
mean.
said, and like the Beach
Who
Boys.
doesn't like the Bee Gees? Hello.
I love you, men.
Is that Aaron Neville?
Broken heart.
Dance. Yeah, oh my God.
Brilliant.
I was like everywhere all at once. Okay.
Anyway,
so,
Despicable Me.
what do we think about Despicable Me?
Ooh, Minion language.
Oh, Minion. Oh, and Minion. Yeah, is it Bagadi?
Bagadi?
Or is it Bodebo?
Bagadi? It's definitely Bagadi!
You know some of it. But
We
yes,
loved it.
that
Go
was
watch it.
super cute. Yeah, and actually, you know, we've been kind of missing like saying anything about tying it back to the global, whatever. But I'm thinking maybe on a general note, I think there was a little bit of tempo happening about like what were we drawn to. It was almost like a bit of escapism. It was also a bit of finally like looking inward. What do you think? You know?
I agree.
Yeah. And on that note, all right. So what do we have? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Your turn. Boogie fever.
Oh, we gotta talk about this one.
Boogie
The Twilight Saga. Eclipse happened.
Twilight.
So the Twilight Saga Eclipse.
Dang.
Okay,
Bringing
so
it back.
this is important because again, this I thought was I remember thinking about
my
this and we were talking about what year we're gonna do, and I was like, oh, I can't wait till we do the year that of Twilight, for example, because I mean there was 4 movies or 3 movies?
There's a total of 5 movies.
Oh, there's 5. Okay, but this was the year Twilight Saga Eclipse was
third
actually
one.
the year of like the battle between werewolf versus vampire. She had to choose between Edward and Jacob.
Yes.
And this was the time that actual known artists or upcoming artists, they blew up because of the soundtrack, and it was a whole trend of like getting on a soundtrack now. It was the way to go, right? So who are we talking about? We're talking about Muse, we're talking about Metric, we're
CeeLo
talking
Green,
about
Florence and the Machine.
Florence and the Machine made
Black
another
Angels.
appearance on a soundtrack. Well, what was the song for Florence and the Machine?
Heavy in Your Arms was the song on this soundtrack.
Yes.
Also, Bat for Lashes was in this.
Oh my God, I love Bat for Lashes.
Vampire Weekend.
Yeah.
Band of Horses.
Band of Horses, love them. And again, it was like the soundtrack was so good that it started this trend of people wanting to submit and be artists that were on these soundtracks because people were like obsessed. And it made a difference too about how people were connecting with this movie, with this series. Because again, I think that's why it became so popular. I think, what's her name? Who plays...
Kristen Stewart.
Oh my God, Kristen Stewart. Hello. Heartthrob, right? Yeah, I think that was a big thing for, it was charting, putting cinema and films on the map for music and vice versa. It was like, again, this like intertwining was happening. This was also a little personal anecdote.
Tell us, Shay.
This was the year that my band, Love Darling at the time, was... really kind of moving and grooving. And we were working with a music supervisor who asked us to submit to be on the soundtrack. And we were so pumped because we had a song that we decided to finish to submit because they thought it was perfect. And it's called Close to Me. We actually did both acoustically and regular, but it was the more, regular electro version that we submitted. Of course, it didn't make it. But it was exciting. Oh, thanks.
It was Close to Me. It's total Twilight vibes.
I thought so too.
Like literally, they messed up with not taking
I thought
that
so too because
honestly.
the lyrics and everything. I thought it was perfect.
So perfect.
Because we're up against like Muse and like who knows, if we knew somebody, maybe Love Darling would have had a chance. But it's one of those.
Go listen to Close to Me.
Go listen to Close to Me. You can find it on SoundCloud or YouTube or whatever. A little plug. Okay, so how about the movie? Okay, the sound, obviously that's really cool, and I don't think it was scored. I think they just used
artists.
They just used artists. I mean, they always score. Of course, there's sound design, but it was mainly a collection of artists, and maybe this was more of a trend towards going towards that, especially for these kind of films. It's like indie films, or people call indie films. A lot of those would go with piecing together just really cool songs from different artists.
Yep.
Rather than scoring, right?
Yeah. Twilight, everybody remembers Twilight and where they were at during this whole season.
Yeah.
And My goodness. It was incredible. I read the first book.
Yeah.
Couldn't put it down. I was flipping through all the pages. Yeah, this was the third one. So it was just like you said.
I think it was
Bella
still at
had
its
to
height.
choose between, you know, Edward or Jacob. Who's it going to be?
And
team vampire, team werewolf.
Yeah, and she was
Always been
also
team vampire.
open. This was the first movie where she was being like, okay, I think I'm ready to become a vampire. And she was like trying to like get Edward to consider it. And he's like, no, you'll never be able to go back. You know, but it was like one of those things where she was all like, you know, all brave. But it was still very popular, even though it was like the third.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it usually starts to die down. But again, it's like Harry Potter. If it's associated with a book, then it's like you're going to have people like geeking out for the next one. But yeah, Kristen Stewart. Why do I keep wanting to say Kristen Wiig?
Because Kristen Wiig is amazing.
She is amazing. But
we were just
she was at her heyday there, right?
Oh yeah, top of the game.
Kind of coming out in the scene.
Oh yes, and but even more so now, she's like,
well,
she's
now
like totally
she's rocking it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the thing is, she was in this, and it was kind of like got a little pigeonholed, or maybe because it's like, oh, a teenage heartthrob, you know, like a little cheesy. But she actually has since then picked some really interesting roles. Yeah, have some depth, some interesting character. But
she played Princess
she does
Diana
have a particular style. Oh, she did. That's right.
She was incredible.
I still haven't seen it.
It was so
you saw it?
good. Yeah, very, very good.
I have it in my queue on Netflix.
But remember this time, 2010, her and Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
They were dating, and everyone was just following their love story, and they was just like,
oh, people love that.
Couldn't stop.
That's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. There's always like this juiciness where, are they doing that for promotion? Like, is it real? You know, 'cause it's such a good way to get people to be like, I gotta see the movie, you know?
I remember when they won Best Kiss on the MTV Awards, and everyone
Did they?
was like, "Oh my gosh, that kiss moment, kind of like the Notebook."
From in the movie.
In the movie,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And they had to go and reenact it. And it was just so like awkward, but it was cute. Everybody loved them. So anyway, I think we know. Well, I don't know. Let's vote.
Actually, you know, I couldn't remember because they kind of blend together, so I had to rewatch it because it's been a minute, right?
Okay, so vampire and werewolf.
Oh, are we making those?
Yeah.
We both like vampire and werewolf. Okay, so is it vampire? Oh, okay.
Is it
does it have fangs or
claws?
Does it need to hide from the moon?
Is it run to such blood or
Yes. And maybe that means they're both good, right? Okay, so yeah, let's vote it that way because that almost just tells us: are we team vampire or are we team werewolf? All right, okay. And the answer is run to suck your blood.
Even though they don't sound anything like that.
I also kind of had a moment where I almost went team werewolf.
Oh my gosh! Fun fact about me.
Oh, okay.
With vampires.
Oh, what?
You ready for this?
Oh.
I was always so afraid of vampires growing up as a little kid because of Interview with a Vampire. Remember that movie?
That was an amazing movie.
Brad Pitt
and Tom Cruise.
We're going to do that one later on.
That was a good movie.
That movie scared the bejesus out of me. The bejesus out of me.
The bejesus and the bejesus. And the minionese.
And the minionese out of me. But after watching Twilight, I'm like, oh, I'm not afraid of vampires anymore. They kind of cool.
Right? It's because they put that music over. They switched it, and it was like doo-dee, doo-dee, boo, boo-dee, boo, boo. And you're like, oh, I'm not afraid of vampires.
But as a little kid, I always thought, like, oh my gosh, a vampire is going to seduce me and, like,
is that what you thought?
Going to kill me and eat
like
my
you thought maybe at a party, like a vampire might find you?
The vampire's going to find me, or it's going to be living in my room under my closet or something, and it's going to, like, seduce me and then kill me.
Oh my God!
No,
that's intense.
Interview with a Vampire really freaked me out. But
you know what? That I could see, but maybe I was a little older to watch that night.
Lestat.
But you know what scared me? It was also a vampire, but like freaked me out. Salem's Lot.
I've never seen that.
By Stephen King.
Oh gosh, say less.
Say less. No, that one actually, the book was really scary, but they actually did a good job. It was kind of like not as well known as one of the movies. Like Misery was obviously in The Shining, blah blah blah. Even Shawshank Redemption, you know that was Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Misery is so good.
So good. They did such a good job because I read all the books.
We should just do a Stephen King episode.
I would. I'm a Stephen King fan. I read the books. I'm like, but the actual movie, freaking scary. It was the first time I would never get scared like that.
Freaking scared me.
That's how I felt.
Ah!
It scared me a lot.
That is beautiful, Cher.
Thank you. I was trying to find an organ. Da, 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 da. But no, yeah. So it was one of those things where because vampires went out and they sparkled, they were making vampirism and werewolfism seem sexy and trendy. You know, don't you think Twilight did that?
Oh my gosh! Speaking of vampires,
It wasn't scary anymore. It was like,
Did
I'm
you-
a vampire. I'm a werewolf.
Did you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes. Hilarious.
So funny.
I love what's his name. He's the New Zealand. He's from the Flight of the Conchords. The duo, the comedy duo.
Yes. What is his name in the show?
I don't know. They're so good.
Anyway, but he's so funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
That does it. They kind of. It was a hint. It was a definite homage to Interview with a Vampire.
Guillermo, this is boring to me.
is
What are
boring to
you
me.
doing, Guillermo?
Okay, you have to pick.
Yes, I have to pick.
We're at the end. Okay, you pick. Don't look.
Okay, I will do it.
Go ahead. Now you can't. You can look. Yes. Okay. Now it makes sense. Okay, so Burlesque, we're thinking about soundtracks and like memorable artists. This is
Burlesque.
why Burlesque ended up in our second chance to dance segment, because it actually kind of got panned in the theaters. Even though it had an all-star cast, and even though it starred lovely Christina Aguilera
And Mother
and
Cher.
Mother Cher,
Mother
right?
to us all.
Yeah,
My
diva
everything.
and awesomeness, Cher.
Cher.
So it was actually like, I think we had, I mean, in terms of the soundtrack and the music score, it actually got some really great recognition.
Oh, it did for sure.
Yeah.
It got a Grammy nomination, 2 of them. Best song written specifically for a motion picture.
Yes.
By Diane Warren. You haven't seen the last of me. For sure.
Yes!
Sings it. Okay.
Oh my God, that was a good Cher
They
impression.
won
I like
a
that.
Golden Globe. Oh, thank you.
And,
They won a Golden Globe for that.
and Bound to You, also by Christina Aguilera.
That was nominated as well.
Your nomination
Oh, snap.
in the same category.
Yes.
And,
A
yeah.
Best compilation soundtrack
For visual
nomination
media,
at the
that's
Grammys.
right.
There are 10 songs on this album where Christina, well, there's 10 songs in total. Cher sings 2 of them, and Christina sings the others. And it's great. It's a wonderful soundtrack. The movie is incredible. Christina killed it as an actress.
Christina, she actually did a good job acting. It was just a great highlight of how fantastic her voice is.
Yes.
I mean, just undeniable. Even though the story was pretty cliche, I have to say. It was pretty
Small
cliche.
town girl leaves her
It
life
was
behind.
literally like
go to
Showgirls,
LA.
like version 2.0, but way better. But it was kind of like, yeah, it was very cliche. The story set up the guy who is the friend, but turns out to be the one, the love, you know, always in front of her all along,
It's
supporting.
predictable for sure.
Very predictable.
But
she performed all of her songs, all the songs in there, really singing.
And she's dancing her butt off in this.
And
A
because
lot
of
of
that, for
Fosse
me,
moves in here.
yeah, Fosse, that made it worthwhile. It actually kind of saved the day a little bit with the
yes.
fact that the story was so cliche.
And just Cher playing, you know, her matron and just like big mama for the club. She's
Yeah,
just
she was the club
wonderful
owner
club
and
owner.
also, I guess, ex kind of cabaret star or burlesque star. It had a very cabaret burlesque vibe, very Chicago jazz kind of score.
Yes.
And then, of course, there were singles. Like, they actually had Express, Show Me How You Burlesque, and by Christina Aguilera were actually singles from this movie, promotional singles. And You Haven't Seen the Last of Me, the one you just sang.
haven't seen the last of me.
For sure. That's so good.
Thank you.
But that was also another promotional single. It actually was, yeah, I just felt like I couldn't believe it. I was like, I never thought I'd see somebody upstage, not upstage, but kind of upstage Cher.
Oh, no.
Was Christina.
Those are
Cher is still
fighting
fabulous.
words. Okay.
But I'm just saying.
You're right. She did a wonderful job. What a
You know what I'm
dream
saying?
role for her. You know, Cher is one of her idols as well.
Oh,
And
I
imagine
heard.
being in a movie with
Behind
Cher.
the scenes,
That's
yeah.
my dream. I want to play Cher.
Well,
I want to play Cher in
Stanley
her
Tucci
movie.
was her right-hand guy.
He played Sean in this.
Yes, and I could tell, you know, he was kind of fangirling over Cher.
Oh my
you can
gosh.
tell
Everybody
all the actors
was.
were probably
Everybody
like,
was
I'm
so hard
acting
to
with Cher
not.
right now. I'm with Cher. I'm Cher.
Cher is a Golden Globe winner, Academy Award
Yeah,
winner.
she is.
She's done it all.
Goddess.
She's been
goddess
a
energy
queen in
all the
every
way.
freaking decade, honestly. Kristen Bell's
And looks
in this
amazing.
too.
And Kristen Bell is like singing and dancing.
Oh my
and
gosh.
sexy mama.
Dude, we not that we
And
forget
also-
how incredible she is, but
Sorry, go ahead.
she's Kristen Bell sang in Frozen. She's the
She actually
lady.
is a good singer. She was also sang in the Good Place. Did you see that show? That was a really good show.
I've been meaning to watch that show. Everybody.
Love it. There's like 5 seasons.
Oh,
Is there 5 seasons?
I love her.
Very talented, singer and
Very
dancer.
talented singer.
And the other actress, but I
Julianne
don't-
Hough.
Yes, and she's from Rock of Ages, of course, because she can sing and dance. And she also was Heroes way back. Was that her? No, maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm thinking Rock of Ages. Wrong actor, but she was in it, and like there was actually a great cast. It was surprisingly a good amount of people well known, and that's why it was kind of a bummer that it didn't do better. But I think that's why.
So weird. 37% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's because the
Strange.
story was too cliche. It's almost like 2010. Come on, even 2010 was like that's cliche.
I guess
You know what I'm
so.
saying?
But
Oh, no,
if you're a fan of musicals and if you
Yeah.
love a little Bob Fosse cabaret Chicago action, watch it.
It was very cabaret meets chorus line. And what's the one with the other musical movie with famous lead guy and lead woman?
What else do you see in your head?
Pink and Christina Aguilera were in that one too.
Moulin Rouge!
Moulin Rouge,
Oh my
Mandy!
goodness!
Yes, that.
Yes.
So that gave me that energy a little bit.
Totally.
Wasn't as like fantastic, but yeah. So what are we feeling about that? And we hope that like, you know, if you missed it because it really wasn't, I don't
Your
know.
jam at the time.
And it wasn't like, it wasn't charting. It wasn't probably promoted or well known. But if you love Christina and Cher, if
gosh.
that's enough
and
to watch
Stanley
the movie.
Tucci.
And Stanley, he's always good.
And everything
He's
he does,
always
everything
good.
he touches is gold.
Yes. All right. So what do we say the rating is on this one?
Burlesque. Is it a jazz hands or is it a...
I like jazz hands.
Okay, help
is
me,
it
help
a
me, help me.
jazz hands or is it a stub toe?
Oh, way to come back.
Good, girl.
girl.
That's right. I got you. All right. So, is it a jazz hands or is it a stub toe? And we say jazz hands. I'm gonna give it
For
jazz
those of you
hands.
that can't see us, we are doing jazz
Jazzy
hands.
jazz hands around our microphone. But you know, I would have said if it wasn't seriously, she saved the day for me. Christina's voice. Otherwise, I would have given it a stub toe. But she. Oh
gosh.
Okay. All right. So.
Beautiful. Oh, yes, the dog days are over. The dog days are gone.
Yeah.
Sonic Chronic, that's us.
That's us. We're Soundcrack. Well, that's.
If you made it this far,
If you made it this far, you're crazy. Like
you're
us.
crazy.
It's
person.
crazy. 2010. That was a fun year to review.
Fun year.
Can't believe we went through all that. And so, as we ask every episode, what do you think?
What
do
you
you
thinking?
agree?
Do you
Do you
disagree? Do you want us to review a specific year? Let us know.
Or a
Please
title? Just say
rate
title. We'll
this
find the year.
episode on Spotify. Give us
Yes.
some stars.
Yeah, definitely leave us some comments. Let us
We're
know.
working our way up on the charts, the Spotify
Yeah.
charts.
You're helping our algorithm, apparently. No.
Yeah.
But we want to hear from you. So yeah, let us know. Did we miss anything? Is there a title that you'd like us to review? Doesn't matter what the year is. We'll figure it out. But we want to know what you're interested in. And also we want to know what you thought about our comments.
Yeah, let us know.
And also just how you feel about like, you know, the soundtrack and the music score and like global events and all any kind of commentary there. We love to hear from you all to see what you think about that and how that relates. And yeah.
And yeah, that's it. Let's wrap it up, baby.
Yeah, definitely follow us on the Sonic Chronic at Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're
All
on Google
streaming
Podcasts,
platforms.
Podbean. You can leave us comments and thesonichronic.com. Right now it's going to our Podbean page, but it will be official where you can see a bit more information about the show. You can leave us comments and interact with us a bit more. And yeah. And you'll know about the next episode coming up. And we do this monthly soon after we put this one out. But it will be another one where we deep dive in a particular year. So with that said,
Thanks for tuning in. this was the frequency of that time.